got a slightly different view today because these next few episodes, if you're watching the video and not just listening to the podcast, I have lost daylight. I cannot be bothered to pull out my ring light. It's just not going to happen today. But I still wanted to finish up these podcasts for summer. So if you are listening to the podcast, the video link will be down below in the show notes. If you're watching the podcast, the actual audio podcast will be linked down below as well for you, no matter where you are. So if you don't want to sit and have YouTube open, you can go do about your day, put some headphones on and just listen. Or if you'd rather watch, which I would recommend if you're used to only ever listening to the podcast and you're able to, I definitely recommend watching, because sometimes there's like stuff that you won't get because I'm showing something and it like doesn't always make perfect sense, but you'll still get a great message regardless. So today what I wanted to talk to y'all about is how to open yourself up to your psychic abilities or to your psychic gifts. And I feel like this episode is actually going to be relatively short. I could elaborate probably more on like individual gifts if you want that kind of video or podcast episode in the future. But today I just really wanted to answer this simple question because I get asked this all the time, how I trust myself to do what I do, how I advanced on my own gifts, etc. If you're only a podcast listener, my YouTube channel, I do a lot of tarot readings, tarot card pick a card. So a lot of people do come to me and ask me about how I kind of advanced on that gift. So the first thing I really want to talk about in terms of psychic gifts or having a gift with divination is that there is a difference between someone who is gifted and someone who is talented. That's how I choose to phrase it. You could probably replace talented for a few other words, but I want you first and foremost to know that everybody has psychic gift. There is not a single walking person on this planet that does not have the ability to increase their psychic gift or be good at something that has a psychic intention. Not a single person. Every person on the planet has the ability to hone and harness a psychic gift. The difference is that some people are so open to it, they're like crown chakra, third eye chakra, they are just like beyond open. They come into the world, well, we all come into the world open, but they have continued to stay open. And that is what I consider someone that is gifted. They are naturally gifted at having a psychic gift. They are able to divine really easily. They are able to, some people are like psychic mediums. They can connect with the spirits or other realms really easily. And then you have people that are talented, and those people are the people that have had to work their spiritual muscle to make those talents present themselves to them. And I feel like a lot of us are in that boat. There are many, many people that are gifted naturally, but there are many of us that are not really sure. We're dipping our toes in here or there, but we're not 100% like, oh yeah, this is totally working for me. I've got it. Like just naturally gifted, you know? And so I just want you to be aware, though, that everybody has the ability. Everybody has the ability to have a natural gift or natural talent in the realm of psychic gift. That it's not just made for special people. Everybody has a spiritual muscle that needs to be worked on in order to advance on that. Even people that are mediums, they do things throughout their day that help them enhance that gift. Most of them meditate or spend time in nature grounding. I don't know the practice of every medium because I only know a couple of them and we're not like buzzing buddies. So I don't ask them about their daily routines, but I know that some of them that I have seen mention those things, that they kind of have routines that help them continue to hone that gift and make it even stronger. But the first thing I want to say is if you're unsure of what kind of divination or gift you have or want to increase, is just try everything. And I mean that very seriously. Try everything. If you're really uncertain, try everything. Try working with a pendulum. Try working with tarot cards. Try working with a crystal ball. Try actually getting in contact with other realms. Obviously, please do your research before doing that because there are methods that are not as safe as others. I would never ever condone just messing with something that you don't know enough about. And to me, at least in terms of like mediumship or speaking on other realms and connecting with other realms, it has a lot to do with the energy that you bring into it. So if you go into that, this is just an extra little side story. If you go into trying to experience that and you're afraid, that's the energy that you're bringing into it. And so fear is what is going to continue to circulate. If you're neutral and calm and loving and peaceful, you're more apt to have experiences that mirror that. So just know, like, there is some stuff about that. But tarot cards, I've never once heard a story of somebody having a bad time with tarot cards. They're literally cards. We give them meaning, and so do our spirit guides, and our ancestors help us maybe to divine with them. But I've never heard of anybody having a bad experience with a tarot card. So you don't need to be afraid of it either, you know? And the next thing I want to say is that whatever you feel naturally pulled to probably is the thing that you're going to be good at, because your soul already knows what it wants to express, what it wants to really work on so that you can become better at it. Your soul already knows. So if you feel a natural pull to something, that should be your first clue that it's probably the thing you're supposed to be doing. For me, I always like to kind of bring things back on a personal level because I say this a lot. I don't have a degree that says I get to speak on all these things because I went to school for all these years, but I got life experience for days. So for myself, the very first time I ever had my tarot cards read, I was 13. No, I was older than that. No, I was 13. I was 13. My sister read them for me, and that was my first fascination. I couldn't get enough. I got my first deck shortly after and started to just learn. It was easy for me to pick it up. I feel like, I wouldn't say that I'm naturally gifted at divining tarot cards, but I will tell you this. I am a naturally gifted storyteller. And I don't want to say that like it's a bad thing on me, like I'm just making shit up, because that's not true. But I am gifted at articulating my words in a certain way. Like, yes, there might be messages coming through to me because I'm also clairaudient, but there might be messages coming through to me directly, but I have the finesse with my voice and words and how I choose to describe those things. That is a natural gift. I am naturally gifted at storytelling. And a lot of people are. A lot of people are naturally gifted at storytelling, and that will help you in divination. So I also believe that everybody is naturally gifted at something. Maybe you just haven't discovered it yet. But that was like my first thing. You know, I was very interested in tarot cards from the get-go. And the same with astrology. I remember as a kid, as a child, my parents used to get paper every day, like the newspaper every day, which I know now that's kind of like an outdated thing and not many people get it. But my parents used to get the newspaper daily sent to their house. And every day I would go and look at the advice column section when I was like 7, like baby child. As soon as I could start reading, like, I was looking at the paper, okay? I was reading the advice column, the horoscope section, and there was something else. It wasn't comics, but most importantly, the horoscope section every day. I was always checking my horoscope every day. And that was my first fascination. Like, I remember I used to make collages for my school binders, and I would cut out, like, my horoscopes and put them in the collage sometimes. Like, I always had a fascination with astrology. And a lot of you also ask what kind of astrology. I consider myself to be a tropical astrologer because I have studied tropical astrology for more than half of my life. I think I started at age 13. I am 29. So what is that, like 16 years of tropical astrology? However, the more that I have learned about sidereal astrology, the more I'm like, oh, okay, there's actually a lot to this, and I could see why this might make more sense. And so I definitely consider myself at this point a sidereal student. I don't think I'm proficient enough to actually be giving guidance on sidereal astrology, but tropical astrology, yes. So that's just my little thing on that. But those are two things that I naturally always felt pulled to from a very, very, very young age. So I just feel like that should be your first tip off. If you're interested in tarot cards, go with that, follow that. What the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to discover you don't really like it and you want to try something else. You know, don't close yourself off from trying things, you know, just try it all. And the next thing I want to say is that you kind of have to treat, if you don't feel like you're naturally gifted at a form of divination or a form of gift, or, you know, being clairaudient, clairsentient, whatever it might be, if you don't feel naturally gifted at these things, you kind of have to work them. You go to the gym. You're not just going to go to the gym, pick up the heaviest weight there if you're completely out of shape and expect to be able to do like 100 reps, right? No. So you kind of have to do the same thing with enhancing your natural gifts or enhancing your talents or growing something that maybe you don't feel like you have a talent for, but you feel very called to it and you want to hone that. You need to make it a part of your life to where you are constantly working on it. I would say every day. When I really started to take tarot seriously, and I have a whole video on that if I didn't say it already, I'll card it for you. I have a whole video on how to learn tarot that I did quite a while ago. But in learning tarot, I practiced reading every single day, because I was very drawn to it. I felt naturally called to do it. It felt like something that was so normal for me. And I feel like many people will say, oh, but I don't have the time, but you sure have time for that Netflix, okay? Like, if it's something that you really feel passionate about and called to do, you'll make the time for it. That should be a big clue to you if you're not making the time for it, that it's not something you're maybe meant to hone. And some people, even if you have talents or gifts that are of the psychic accord, maybe in this lifetime you didn't sign a contract where you were meant to encroach on those things. That's also true. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, but I love doing this and maybe it's just not meant for me. No. If you already love it, already feel called, and already have a passion for it, then you made that agreement to have the ability to advance on that. Does that make sense? I hope that sheds some light on this topic for you, that it doesn't take a special kind of person to start doing something. And I also believe that for me, I don't even necessarily feel like I'm the person with the gift. I feel like it's my guides and my ancestors that really have my back, and my angels that are like, hey, here's a message, here's a message, here's a message, you know, for someone. And it's not me that necessarily has such a gift. It is my team that stands behind me and in front of me and all around me that has the gifts. I'm just the channel from which the gifts pour through, if that makes sense. Not everybody sees their gifts that way, but that's how I feel. I feel like it's not even necessarily me. What you're communicating with is my spiritual team, is what you're hearing and having things brought to you. I'm just the channel and the vessel from which they pour from. So you can look at it that way as well. And I know this video or podcast was kind of all over the place and a little bit short, but I just wanted to make that quick note because I feel like there's a lot of confusion on my channel about this. I've seen it crop up on so many of my videos that I just wanted to clear up my thoughts and opinions on that. And I hope that this kind of helped maybe give you a little bit of clarity on what you would hope to hone for yourself or do for yourself, or what field you want to go into or start to study or start to look at. And I love you all so, so much. I will talk to you again very soon. Please remember that when you stand up in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same.